Okay, so we have just looked at carrying out the study, the ethics of that, and now we're looking at ethics in reporting the findings. This is for the second question in the second possible ethics question in paper 3. Okay, so again, reviewing what is an ethical consideration and how do we explain it, and then now we're going to look at reporting findings. Okay, this is pretty tricky. All right, race to the front. Never fails to get some activity in the room. Now I have to amend this. There should be 5 types, not 7. Overt, covert, participant, whatever. And then we can go through the answers here. Okay. All right, now just a heads up, you may not want to talk about this in your class. It's a very sensitive, controversial topic. So it's up to you. There's another way to talk about another example we can use Milgram. I'll explain that in a second. But research question: do different racial groups have different IQ? And if they do, why? This is a very controversial topic, and you can get a lot of trouble in just talking about it. I hope I don't get in trouble talking about it here. Now, I haven't read the bell curve. I'm not going to defend it. All I've read of it is that, yeah, I mean, well, actually, do you know what? Honestly, the Wikipedia link here has got some quotes from the book. Anyway, they, yeah, the authors have been shunned. I don't know if that's rightly or wrongly. Again, I won't get into the controversy, but it is very when you're these. This is a good example of ethics in reporting findings of studies. It was also an interesting question to ask. Do we need to answer all questions? Do we need to explore all avenues of human behavior? Are there some things that we just, you know what, let's not go down that route. We don't need to. Okay, so here we're looking at what are the ethical issues with reporting results of average IQ differences between racial groups, and reminding students that what we're looking at here is how might reporting these results cause harm. Okay, and this is why the idea of actions causing harm is a good way to think about ethical considerations, because for the second question, reporting and results and applying findings, it's pretty tricky. All right, and then we also can say from the researcher's point of view, how might they reduce the possible effects of that. All right, so and another way of thinking about being an ethical psychologist is, okay, what's the right thing to do? Okay, and yeah, so I think Peter Giddens first used that phrase on MyBee, and I quite liked it for ethical considerations. So we're thinking ethical consideration is thinking about what is the right thing to do. It's another way of thinking about it. Now, if you don't want to do race and IQ, or you want to do an additional one, we have ethics in the Milgram study. I think this video, I'm going to link it here actually. I think I've linked it in the unit plane. You can, when you watch the Darren Brown replication of this, you can see the anguish in the people's face. You can see the stress. They're really freaking out, and that's the modern replication of the old study. So there you can visibly see the effects of that the study is having on the participants, and that's the harm, right? And you can watch it for yourself, and then they talk about, okay, is that why that's unethical or not? So if you don't want to do race and IQ, you can do this one, or you could do both. Okay, now there's a series of research findings on this particular blog post, and we want students to think about the possible ethical considerations with reporting these findings, and then discuss as a class afterwards. As always, use a textbook if they need help. These are the studies and the results themselves, and I try to use actual real examples. And you see, just a heads up, I put race and IQ in here. I didn't state the specific differences. Yeah. Okay, bit of chalk and talk. How can we apply these, anonymity, informed consent, beneficence, that's an idea of doing no harm. That's a very general term that's coming from the Belmont report. Can be a useful term to use in for ethics. And also reporting results. I would say if students are struggling to come up with a third point for reporting results, talk about ethics and reporting in the media, right, and about being accurate and not exaggerating effects. I think because it doesn't say who's doing the reporting in the question, I think that's an equally important thing to think about. But not for the first point you would make, right? That's only if you're struggling to come up with a third point. Okay, so here we're going to review some of the key studies from the course and see if they can come up with ethical considerations in reporting the findings from any of these studies. Now, the reason why I say find at least 3 is because for the ethics question in the exam, they have to make 3 relevant points. So that can be something to do there. And then we have space for taking notes with some exam tips all in the workbook. All right, reminder of homework, and then we'll get into the next lesson, which is going to be applying findings.